moment the silverware stopped clinking, something sharp and invisible cut through the air. In the middle of a chandelier-lit restaurant where money whispered louder than manners, a young waitress felt every pair of eyes drift toward her like a slow, unforgiving tide. The rich man at the table smiled the way people do when they think they are untouchable, and in that smile lived an intention that would change far more than the order of a meal. What began as a small, cruel test of power would become the kind of moment that follows a person for the rest of their life. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet strength that rises when it is least expected, please take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Stories. Stories like this matter because real life is built on moments just like this one. Her name was Lena, and she had learned early how to make herself small. Not because she lacked confidence, but because life had taught her that being unnoticed could be safer. She worked evenings at the restaurant, a place where polished shoes crossed marble floors and laughter often came with a price tag. Lena wore the same pressed uniform every shift, her hair tied neatly back, her posture trained to be respectful but invisible. Customers rarely remembered her name, and that was usually fine. She needed the job. She needed the tips, and she needed the quiet dignity that came from doing her work well. That evening, the restaurant hummed with celebration. The rich man sat at a central table, his tailored suit sharp against the white tablecloth. He was known to the staff, not for kindness, but for the way he enjoyed reminding others of his status. His companion laughed easily, comfortable in a world where embarrassment was something that happened to other people. Lena approached the table with her notepad, her heart steady, her expression calm. She had learned to read the room, to anticipate impatience, to absorb dismissive glances without letting them sink too deep. When the man ordered, he did so in a foreign language, one he assumed she would not understand. His tone was deliberate, exaggerated, as if performing for an audience. Around them, a few nearby diners leaned in, sensing entertainment. Lena recognized the language immediately. It was one her grandmother had spoken at home, the one Lena had grown up translating for doctors, for landlords, for strangers who underestimated her family. She understood every word, including the condescension woven between them. For a split second, the old instinct rose in her chest, the urge to nod politely and walk away, to let the moment pass like so many others. Her life had been filled with small humiliations that never made headlines, but left quiet marks. She remembered her mother's tired hands, her grandmother's steady voice, and the long nights spent studying while the world slept. She remembered every time someone had mistaken her silence for ignorance. The restaurant seemed to slow, as if waiting to see which version of Lena would step forward. The one who swallowed the insult and survived, or the one who finally allowed herself to be fully seen. She stood there, pen poised, breathing evenly. Instead of retreating, she answered him in the same foreign language, her words measured, respectful, and flawless. She did not raise her voice. She did not expose him with cruelty. She simply acknowledged his order, clarified his preferences, and gently corrected a mistake he had made in pronunciation, all while maintaining the professional warmth expected of her role. The table went still. The man's smile faltered, confusion replacing confidence. His companion stopped laughing. A ripple of awareness moved through the nearby diners, the kind that feels like a collective inhale. Lena finished writing, nodded politely, and moved on to the next table, her back straight, her hands steady, her heart racing in a way that felt less like fear and more like freedom. In the kitchen, Lena paused for a moment, pressing her palm against the cool metal counter. She did not feel victorious in a loud way. She felt grounded. For the first time that evening, she allowed herself a small smile, not because she had embarrassed someone else, but because she had honored herself. The challenge had not been understanding the language. It had been believing she was allowed to respond. Word traveled quickly through the restaurant, not as gossip, but as admiration. Staff members exchanged glances that said more than words could. The manager, who had seen too many employees shrink under entitled behavior, noticed something different in Lena's walk when she returned to the dining room. There was a quiet confidence there, the kind that could not be taught in training sessions. The rich man sat back in his chair, unsettled. For perhaps the first time in a long while, he felt the uncomfortable weight of self-awareness. He had expected silence. He had expected compliance. Instead, he had been met with intelligence, grace, and a reminder that status does not equal superiority. The power he thought he held slipped through his fingers, replaced by something unfamiliar and humbling. As the evening continued, Lena served her tables with the same care she always had. But something inside her had shifted. Each step felt lighter. Each smile felt more genuine. The small victories of the night accumulated, not in tips alone, but in the way customers looked at her with newfound respect. The restaurant no longer felt like a stage where she had to disappear. It felt like a place where she belonged. When her shift ended, Lena stepped outside into the cool night air. The city lights reflected in the windows behind her, and for a moment, she allowed herself to stand still. She thought about how many people carry hidden stories, how many are underestimated because of uniforms, accents, or silence. She thought about how easily cruelty disguises itself as humor, and how powerful kindness can be when paired with courage. This was not a story about humiliating a rich man. It was about a young woman choosing not to humiliate herself. It was about the quiet strength that comes from knowing who you are, even when others try to define you differently. Lena did not change the world that night, but she changed her place in it. And sometimes, that is where real transformation begins. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of a moment when you found your voice, or wished you had, please take a moment near the end of this video to like it, share it, and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Your support helps keep stories like this alive and reaching the people who need them most. Before we end, we have a special request. Please comment below and tell us what this story made you feel, or share a moment when kindness or quiet courage changed something in your life. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. Lena walked home that night under the same sky she had always known, but she felt different beneath it, stronger, seen. And somewhere in the glow of streetlights and passing cars, she understood that respect is not something you wait to be given. Sometimes it is something you claim with grace, and in doing so, you remind the world of its own humanity